All right, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the 360 Sports Show. We're coming to you live through Facebook, YouTube, Periscope, and Twitch. Make sure you like, follow, and subscribe to us on all those platforms to never miss a live show. And you can always catch the podcast edition of the show on the go through Sounder FM or wherever you get your podcasts from. I'm Andrew Pizzelli. He is Christian Lauber. You can reach us anytime in the comment section or by emailing us at the360sportshow@gmail.com. So that is the formalities. Now to the pleasantries. Christian, how are you doing?
Not too bad. Yeah, kind of a rainy Sunday here, but yeah, we'll get through it.
Yeah, Sunday, April 11th. We're like a quarter of the way through this year already. It's a little bizarre.
Time moves much faster when you can't do as much.
Time keeps on slipping into the future.
You watched that trailer yet?
What's that? Oh, Space Jam? I did.
Yeah.
I did do my homework. Yeah. Well, all right, fine. You brought it up, so we'll just start right there. I don't know. Not impressed.
Yeah, it'll be fine. It's not going to be the original, you know? I mean, it's
kids.
Just like it never is.
Today's kids will love it. I'm just not. I don't know. I just feel like it's one of those things. It's like the first was great. You can't duplicate it, and so it's just typical Disney, Hollywood. Let's just recreate something, repackage it, and we'll make a boatload of money because people will go and watch.
We have a new generational player. Let's make another movie. That's pretty much.
Yeah. Well, hey, I mean, we've said before. I mean, you had Jordan, and then Kobe, and then Kobe and LeBron kind of overlap, but LeBron's the generational talent of this generation. I don't really know who's next. Like we said, when LeBron retires, I think it could be good for the NBA that there isn't that one guy because it might create more of this ferocity and less of a friends league than we kind of have right now if there's three or four guys trying to claim their stake as the best guy in the NBA.
Yeah. I mean, it's got to be like those. I mean, there's still upper echelon talents like Zion.
Oh, yeah.
I don't even like that much. But Giannis, Zion, and for me, Luka. That's the guy. But
yeah, maybe Luke. But I mean, Luka's going to have to win some chips, right? Win some MVPs. Get to the finals, win some chips. You know, who's going to be that next face? So we'll get to more of that. We're gonna have plenty of NBA thoughts. Where we wanted to start today, and like I said, you can jump in to the comment section anytime, or if you're listening as a podcast, shoot us an email throughout the week, and we can get to your thoughts on anything that we had to say. First off, a lot of champions crowned this week in the college world. So we'll start with the most recent one, which is the UMass men's hockey team. A dominant 5-0 victory last night in the Division I tournament. Big congratulations to them. The Minutemen of the hour, as they put it. Just domination. And there's really I think 2-0 after the end of the first. And then they tack on 3, I think, in the third period. So it was just, again, leaving no doubt. So big congratulations to the Minutemen. A lot of schools didn't have a chance. A lot of sports didn't have a chance to compete for titles this year, even conference titles, let alone national titles. So the fact that they were able to get there and go through some really good teams as well, credit to them. I know a lot of the UMass people, alumni, and people who have worked around there are they're walking a little taller today.
They're rowdy, yeah. Hey, it's a local team too, so I'll take it.
So big congrats to them. Earlier in the week, we had the, one of them happened right after our show on Sunday. The women's basketball tournament concluded, which I love.
Good timing on that one, by the way. Good timing on that one.
Exactly, right? 6 o'clock game on Easter Sunday. And exactly how I predicted. I sat down. We had just finished dinner, late lunch, whatever you want to call it. A meal. We finished a large meal and sat with like some chocolate and just watched that game. And again, the women's tournament did not disappoint. Great game.
Oh, that was the better game of the weekend, without question.
Great game.
It was 100% better than the men's game, too.
Yeah. Stanford beats Arizona. I was rooting for Arizona, but congratulations to Stanford on their victory. And again, a back-and-forth game. I mean, it was just exciting from beginning to end. Cannot say the same about the men's game, their ratings were bad, right? ratings have been declining. The ratings were really good. The ratings went way up for the women's game. I don't know if that's just because of how poorly the attention was on them in the beginning and people just tuned in to show support, which I guess it doesn't matter. I mean, it's good that people are watching anyways. They should. The games prove to you that you should be watching. I don't know if that had a converse effect on the men's game, but guess what? Tell you, a 9:20 p.m. start don't really help when the game is basically over in the first 5 minutes.
Yeah, they took a huge L for me when they said the game was at 9:20. I'll be honest. It's like what was it? A Monday night? Monday night at 9:20. Like who's actually gonna stay up? Especially, I mean, I guess if it's close, but the game's over in the first 10 minutes. Oh, forget about it. I'm done.
And it was obvious. So I mean, congratulations, Baylor. You were the better team. You proved it. I mean, skill, depth, and hustle across the board. I mean, they outworked and they outplayed Gonzaga, an undefeated team. Baylor proved they were the better team. I think you could have played that game 10 times, and Baylor might win all 10. I just don't know the way Gonzaga just looked in that game. They got down 9-0, and it was like it was like they knew it was over. They had that 1,000-yard stare, and it was like they just kind of played out the rest of the game. I mean, they made a little run there at the end of the first half, but it just never, even when it got to like 9 points, it never felt like Gonzaga was taking control of the game. Not once.
I mean, I just wish UCLA had a chance. Like Gonzaga took that chance away from them to make a more compelling game.
Yeah.
Instead, they just went out there and just pretty much just got, annihilated the entire time.
And I think Gonzaga maybe a little bit, they blew the emotional load on that Saturday game by beating UCLA. Like I wonder how much the emotion of that game had them drained going into Monday night. But like you said, Monday night. What is it with why did they decide on Monday nights? Weekday, like I said, ratings have been bad. Ratings have been declining for sports for the last couple of years, but especially at the college game. The football championship this year was down 27%. Now, a lot of that could be them lacking streaming data, which I'd say is a glaring hole. If you want to use ratings to decide like revenue share and how you're going to sell ad space and showing potential advertisers like what you have, wouldn't you want to have all the data?
Yeah.
So that hurts. Why 9:20 on Monday nights for all these championship games? Why on a weekday that late?
Monday doesn't bother me though. Like that doesn't bother me at all. 9:20 though on a Monday. Like why not just play the game at 7:30? Like a normal, like when the Super Bowl is played, it's obviously on a weekend usually, right? But it's at 6:30. It's not like they're playing the Super Bowl at 8:30 just because it's a prime time and they need to get,
Yeah.
The earlier you put this game, the more people that are going to watch. I'm sorry, but if you're telling people who have to go to work and get up at like 6, right? They're not staying up till, 10:30 just to watch a game, especially if it's a blowout. That's just not a way to grab people. 7:30, prime spot.
And you want kids, right? You're trying. All these leagues are trying to figure out how do we keep the next generation? How do we keep their attention, Christian? These kids, such short attention spans. Guess what? Don't start a game at 9 o'clock where the first sign of something going the other way, click, back over to TikTok.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just like the Monday night thing. I mean, they've been doing that for how long? It's been around. So that doesn't bother me, especially if it's a long day, you come home, you just want to watch the game, right? But 9:20, like that is just I don't understand that one, I'll be honest. It's just
no sense. And you're right though, especially when the game's not close. I mean, they can't predict that. You don't know that a game's going to be bad. Right. But when a game's bad, I mean, hey, even the Gonzaga UCLA game, I'll admit, I'm guilty of this currently. If I don't have a rooting interest in a certain team and I see a game being played, if it's not close early, I'm not going to sit there and just slog through it. That UCLA Gonzaga game, now it was a great game, but I wasn't watching it at first. It was when it started blowing up on Twitter, like, this could be the greatest game ever. And it's like, all right, now I'm going to tune in later. When most of these college basketball games are decided, which is the final 2 minutes, which in and of itself takes an hour.
Yeah.
So that's kind of one of those things that college basketball has to fix is, that stigma that, the only thing that matters is the last 2 minutes. Because then people, like you said, we'll just, well, why bother
Maybe
watching
it's the
early?
West Coast thing. I don't know. Maybe they want the West
Yeah,
Coast.
I mean they had it was West Coast time zone teams. Well, I mean Texas and Gonzaga, but
still, why can't you do like, I don't know, 8:30, 8:20, even an hour earlier?
And guess what? The most exciting part of the game, those people will be able to see. Oh, too bad you were in your car for the first 5 minutes, on your commute home in California from, missed the beginning of the national championship. So what?
I mean, if you're trying to watch, you're going to find a way to watch. Point blank.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, a disappointing game, but hey, we were both saying, hey, if Baylor goes and kicks their teeth in, we won't cry. I mean, from that perspective, I was totally fine with it. I just love the way they played. I mean, it was just, like I said, it was just every single guy. Usually it's like the bench guys bring the energy, or teams that have a lot of, that heart and hustle thing aren't always the most talented teams. Baylor had the talent and the hustle, which was awesome to watch.
Baylor's a good team. Yeah, Baylor's a good team. I mean, I still think, like, in terms of compelling in theater, the women's game just was better. It wasn't a blowout. It was a 1-point end, 1-point finish, and it was just a better product. I don't know. And also, it started way earlier, so I'll take that.
Yes. So, yeah, 3 champions in the college ranks crowned in the past week, which was awesome to see. After basically being, 2 years since the last champions were crowned, because none of this happened last year, which is kind of easy to forget about. I was thinking about that when they were like handing out the trophy. It's like, wow, yeah, it was 2019 was the last time they handed out this trophy. A champion will be crowned today down in Augusta, Georgia, at the Masters. Christian, I don't think you were able to catch too much of the action yesterday.
I saw the clip of the triple bogey, though. I will say.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So here's first. Yeah, let's do this. Let's do this. Let's first run you down the leaderboard. And so has the lead, so. Yeah, Matsuyama, which is awesome. What's cool is Matsuyama's got the lead, 11 under. Zalatoris, Schauffele, and Leishman and Rose all tied at 7 under. So they're in the hunt. Connors -6, Spieth -5. And then, I mean, just because of how far ahead Matsuyama is, it's crazy. I mean, guys like Harman, Finau, Kim, I mean, it's just not even there. But a guy who had a shot yesterday and then completely took himself out of the running was Justin Thomas.
Meltdown.
Oh my God. One of the most epic meltdown. And the best part, I have to share my screen so that we can show the best part of the best part. I don't know. Is it Schadenfreude? Like I like to golf. I would never consider myself a good golfer. I like to go out, hit the ball, have some fun, experience a course. It's an activity. And obviously, but it becomes, even if you're just doing it for fun like that, it becomes frustrating. The game of golf can be incredibly frustrating. And it's still good to see these guys who are basically like robots. I mean, the way they can be like, oh, okay, how far is it? 57 yards? Okay, chip. And it's like, oh, hit it on the money. I mean, these guys, it's incredible what they do. But sometimes it's just good to see them have a good old meltdown like the rest of us and like shank it into a tree and then it bounces off the tree and they try to hit out of that and it goes across they overshoot it like I would into the pond. It rolls. And so the best one was Thomas on the 13th. Oh, let me share my screen for this.
Down the creek.
Oh man, there's the video and then there's a tweet, which is just fantastic.
Down
so
the
yeah,
river.
so he shot it up, and Jim Nantz is like, oh, there it goes. Whoop,
down
Darcy,
the creek.
Down the creek it goes, which was just hysterical. But then the best was, because the person who tweeted that out said, this is why the Masters is the best. The camera quickly finding Thomas's ball floating down the creek. But Trey Wingo had the best line. Oh, the metaphor. That shot of Justin Thomas's ball wandering down the tributary in the front of 13, watching his Masters victory hopes trickling away.
Yep. That about sums it up.
I think just the use of the word tributary just got me. It just had me in the giggles. So yeah, he had an absolute meltdown, and so he's out of the running. But yeah, I mean, it's one of those things like you hate to see it, but you kind of love to see it.
Oh yeah, I mean, look, it's like, when I go out there, I'm hitting them left and right everywhere, right? So when another guy like this does it, it makes me feel better.
What's your club of choice? Do you have a club of choice?
Driver.
Everywhere is the driver.
No,
so it's a great. Ooh, see, I like the 4-wood. It's a little club because I can just smash the low line drives, just matriculate that ball down the course. There's a great joke about a guy who is in like two of his buddies at work are like, hey, want to have a round of golf tomorrow? And like, yeah. He's like, oh, do you need a partner? He's like, oh, don't worry, I got one. So they show up, and the two other guys look at their friend. It's like, where's your partner? It's like, oh, he's coming. And so all of a sudden, this gorilla appears, and they're like, this is your partner? And they're like, yeah. Like, a gorilla? What? All right. So they all get up. They tee off. First guy hits it about like 120, 130 yards. Second guy gets up. He hits it kind of in the edge of the fairway. Third guy gets up, and he shanks it. He tops the ball, and it goes like 40 yards. The gorilla gets up, and he just whack hits the ball, and it goes 450 yards and lands about 3 feet from the pin. And the other guys drop their clubs. They're like, we ain't playing with that. And the guy goes, guys, he putts the same way.
Yeah. So that's you. Is that what you're saying?
Kinda. No, but I do like to have the putter. But you made me think of that. Driver all the way.
Yeah.
Smash. Which we did see. There were some incredible long putts. Rose had one yesterday. I think Schauffele had one as well. Some incredibly long putts. That top bunching, I mean, the guys, in the lead and tied for second, Rose, Leishman, Schauffele, Zalatoris, and Matsuyama, had some incredible shots yesterday. And the pairing of Schauffele and Matsuyama, it's basically like they're playing match play. I mean, those two guys are paired together, and they're going like stroke for stroke, which is incredible.
Yeah, it's good stuff at the top of the leaderboard for sure. And then you got that one shank that just brings it all together. And then it truly is the Masters.
A tradition like no other. It must be. I always wonder if it's weird. If I ever get a chance to talk to Jim Nantz, I want to be like, is it weird to go from like you're calling NCAA March Madness basketball and like up and down action, and you're all animated and excited to here's Rose on the 13th now.
Yeah, it's a different vibe.
Chip. Like, does it just?
But when you get into like, if you're him, right, you probably get into a Masters mode, right? So it's like, there's two different vibes. He has like one that he goes full blown all the time, pretty much, and then there's just one event during the year that he just
basically doesn't even need to wake up.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, and he's got the same type of analysts, and here he is at we're gonna go check out Speed Tap 13. It's just a very low-key vibe. Are there fans at this event? I think there are, right?
There are. Limited. It's like it's open to members.
Okay.
I think some family of people. Because I think it was it McIlroy hit his dad?
Yes. Yeah. That's right. Yeah. And the caddy's like, was that your dad? And he's like, yeah.
That was funny. That was the other cool thing. They really had, which I feel like, I don't know if they've been doing this. Like during tournaments this year, they really had like the mics on the caddies, and because you could always kind of hear, you'd be able to hear them like kind of. This felt like they were actually like mic'd up.
So. Yeah.
I heard Schauffele and his guy were like chatting for like 10 minutes about what club they were going to use, how far is it, what do we know about this green, blah 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 blah. That was.
Hey, people underrate the caddies, man. Those guys are important.
What was the last thing I want to say? I'm excited. I mean, I don't know who I'm pulling for today. I would love Matsuyama. I mean, he's just crushing it, which would be awesome. But I kind of like this Zalatoris kid. I think he's only like 22. He's 24. 24-year-old golfer, having a great round. And what's funny is he's like
he looks like. Did you see this? This guy looks like the caddy from Happy Gilmore.
Yeah. No. Yeah, but also like, I mean, he's like a twig. I mean, he's super thin, but he mashes the ball. It's just like, one of those things. It's like his mechanics must just be so good, because you get up and it's like you don't think he's gonna like just have the ball, have the pop that it does. Oh my God, I mean, crushing it and just playing. It's one of those things. It's like you'd think the moment would get to this kid, and he's just going out there, and it's like there's nobody there. Now I know there's probably less people than normal, but he's just going out and hey, it's like I'm by myself, just playing a nice, easy round of golf, and finds himself 4 strokes out of the lead. But hey, we've seen meltdowns, so 4 strokes on a course like this. Oh my gosh, yeah. I'll share that.
This is the absolute best. That's kind of I'm kind of pulling for him just because it's just so real.
One, that is the actual golfer. seven strokes under, 4 out of the lead. So cool to see how far Will Zalatoris has come since he caddied for Happy Gilmore in the Waterbury Open. Good player in his own right.
That's the guy right there.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, that's good. That's really good.
I wouldn't be opposed to him or Matsuyama winning.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I would like him or Schauffele. I mean, at least it seems like those guys. That thing that's cool about Matsuyama is I like he's just a cool character. Like he just seems like either he just is good at hiding it, or he's one of these guys. He's just kind of like, well, I'm out here and I'm not gonna let anything rattle me.
Yeah.
Because he shanked a drive and it like went spilling through like a magnolia tree like into the needles, and he just kind of went like, like, oh well, I know what I got to do now. I just walk down. You see some guys spike the club, getting all frustrated. This guy's just
calm. Yeah, he's calm.
Hey man, like whatever, which is kind of cool to see. So he's likable, and obviously a young kid. Coming out of nowhere. Anyone at the top here would be good to see.
Yeah, somebody different.
I really don't think. I mean, man, 11 under. I really don't think anybody. See, because the thing is, the pressure now. I mean, Matsuyama basically is just going to go out and not have, because one really bad hole.
Yeah.
So he basically could just go out there, play conservative. If you have an opportunity for a birdie, you take it, but you don't need to really press. Because these guys have got to do something more. So it's really his to lose. And it's it's a shame we broadcast live at 11 on Sundays. We'll be able to break this all down for you next Sunday how it ends. One last thing I wanted to get to with regards to golf. So Matt Wolff was not like he was a favorite, but one of these other younger up and comers. 21-year-old kid. People were talking about him, and he's DQ. He wasn't going to make the cut anyways, but he gets DQ'd because he signed his scorecard with a mistake on it after I think the first or second round. What is the point of this rule? Like in today's day and age, where we've got everybody tracking everything. And, like, why... I understand maybe the tradition of keeping your own scorecard. But if you make a mistake, like, it's not like they're going to go to the clubhouse and be like, well, it says that he shot 20 under. Well, I guess we got to trust him. Yeah. It's like, we know. We have cameras everywhere. We have official score. Like, why does the player need to be keeping track? Let them golf. Like, why would you have to have the added stress of, I just won the Masters. Wait, but my, 7 kind of looks like that 1 kind of looks like a 7, and so my scorecard is a little illegible. Sorry, never mind. You're DQ'd. You don't win. When you just went out and, shot the round of your life. Like, what is the point? Somebody defend. I can't find anybody who wants to defend this anymore. Like, what the reasoning is now to still have that be the thing.
No idea. That's my best answer. I have no idea. I don't understand it either, especially since you just you get one error and then you're just DQ'd out of the tournament. Seems a little excessive, but hey, I don't know. It is the Masters after all, but it's probably just in general too. I guess I don't know why.
I mean, I guess I'm just a cursory Google search here. More and more tournaments are eliminating a DQ for signing the wrong scorecard. But I wonder if they penalize a stroke. Because I saw that happen. That's happened before. It was a couple years ago in the women's tournament. Girl won by 1 stroke. Something was screwy with her card. Like, I don't even think it was I think like it was like a date or something was wrong. And so they penalized her for signing the wrong scorecard, 2 strokes, and that took her out of the lead. So she lost. Like, come on. Really? Yeah. We're gonna take away a championship from somebody on a technicality? Clerical error? Pete from Gansett, it's a tradition unlike any other. True. It is. Typical golf. Yeah.
Yeah, leave it golf.
Nope, chap. You must sign your scorecard correctly, and if you don't, you're penalised 2 strokes. Better luck next time, bro. Yeah. That's what it is.
You're not even 2 strokes. You're penalized and you're kicked off the course.
Yeah, never come. Actually, you're fed to the gators in the ponds.
Yeah, the croc in the creek.
Croc in the creek. So anyway, that's our little Masters update. That's happening right now. That'll get over later on this afternoon, just in time for a good afternoon nap, like yesterday was. I sat down for a nice nap and got to take in the remainder of the 3rd round.
Yeah, you got the big guns going at like 2:40, just before 3 o'clock. So.
Awesome. So moving along, let's hit quickly on some NFL news. Sam Darnold traded from the New York Jets to the Carolina Panthers. Kind of surprising me because, I mean, I think we expected Darnold to be on the move somewhere because the Jets are going to draft a quarterback, we think.
Yeah.
And Darnold would be expendable. I'm kind of surprised by Carolina because where they were one of these teams that was being talked about like, well, they have the capital to move up and get one of these top quarterbacks in this draft. Instead, they're going to go get Sam Darnold. Hypothetically, they still could get another young quarterback, but then you have Darnold, Bridgewater, and like, now I kind of don't know, like, what are the Panthers trying to do? You went and got a younger reclamation type project with Darnold. Are you going to draft another young quarterback? Why don't you just kind of start to just like rebuild the rest of your team? I feel like I don't know what the Panthers are doing here.
I don't think they're going for another quarterback this year. I mean, let's not forget, Darnold was the number 3 pick in the draft in 2018. So, like, he has potential. He got ruined by Adam Gase, just like everybody else who comes in contact with Adam Gase. But, I mean, I think Darnold's talent level is still there, and especially with a coach like Matt Rule in Carolina, I think that's good for him. And you also have a guy, presumably, unless they trade, Bridgewater, which is still possible, I guess, especially on draft day, to like the 49ers or somewhere like that, then I think Darnold's your guy. But even so, I think Bridgewater right now is kind of in front of Darnold. And then Darnold kind of comes in and he's kind of your quarterback as long as he pans out. I wouldn't be surprised if Bridgewater's moved, though. I don't know if they want Bridgewater still this year.
You say 49ers for Bridgewater. So, like, what would that... Are you thinking that they don't draft a quarterback with their pick, or that they draft a quarterback, they trade Jimmy G, and then they also give up like 7th to bring in Bridgewater as a backstop?
I mean, it's a good question. I don't know. I mean, I obviously, since the 49ers have that, what is it, number 2 pick, number 3 pick?
3.
Yeah, 3. So maybe they're not even in line for Bridgewater, but Bridgewater could be on the move somewhere else. Who needs a quarterback at this point? I have no idea. But at least to me, I think if you're Carolina, you're just building out the roster, and Bridgewater's maybe a year left here, and then Darnold comes in and kind of takes over that spot, hopefully. Or you get rid of Bridgewater and draft another young guy, and then you go with Darnold and this other kid. So there's a couple of ways to go. I have no idea what their plan is, but I think they need to build out the rest of the roster. So look, the price wasn't huge for Darnold, and he's still in a lot of people still have him as the best quarterback from that draft. He hasn't panned out, obviously, but there's still some talent level there, and he's still a highly skilled guy if he can get his head on right and not see ghosts. But Carolina's in a weird spot now. I don't know what they're gonna do.
Yeah. So right now, after some of the movie, and honestly, I think there's still going to be some shuffling, but Jacksonville, number 1 overall pick, everybody expects them to take Trevor Lawrence. The Jets, the 49ers, then Atlanta, Cincy, Miami, Detroit, Carolina. It's your top 8. Atlanta, I think I think Atlanta is going to hold on. Unless Atlanta's going to change kind of everything they've shown so far and draft a quarterback, which that would kind of throw things off a bit because everybody just assumes they're not. That they're either going to draft for need there other than quarterback, or do what a team in their position should do, which is move back because there'll be some team. All this jumping around, I mean, like Detroit might offer you this, that, and the other thing. Denver, we know, is looking for a quarterback, even though they like Drew Lock.
Do they?
They say they do. I don't know.
Well, yeah. What are they going to say? We hate this guy? He's
no,
quarterback,
but I mean, he's not a bust. I mean, if you were going to say who's better, Drew Lock or Sam Darnold right now, I'd take Drew Lock.
I don't know. That's closer than I would want to say. Like I'm not a big Drew Lock guy. I don't know.
But either way, I mean, one of these teams might just offer them a boatload. It could be the New England Patriots might offer them a boatload to get to that spot because everybody's playing leapfrog right now. Yep. So Atlanta's kind of the interesting case. And these quarterback rankings change every week. Now, 2 weeks from now, we will be speaking with Brad Kelly. That'll be the show right before the draft. So we'll get basically as close to draft day as we can with his analysis, because if we had spoke to him a week ago, he might say one thing, and now with the trades that happen, he might say another. I mean, there's just so much moving ground, so we want to try and get him as close to that draft day as we can to get the final assessment here on both what these teams could be doing and how we grade some of these players, especially the quarterbacks. Which, God, there could be 5 of them that go in the top 10.
Yeah, which is I mean, if everything goes like plan, well, I don't know. I don't like the insiders stuff, but if you go Lawrence, Wilson, and Mac Jones 1, 2, 3, and then Atlanta trades out, you could have 5, 6 quarterbacks in the top 10. Who the hell knows? It could be nuts.
And you know what? Odds tell you only one of them's really going to be good.
Yeah.
Like one might be the transcendent guy. We think it's going to be Lawrence. One might be like hey, he was a starter for 10 years. You're Chad Pennington's, never great, never terrible, a little bit above average, but that's it. You're B- NFL players. So maybe there's 2 starting quarterbacks. There's no way. If all these guys end up panning out, it could be one of the greatest draft quarterback classes ever. The way all these guys get talked about. Because usually we come into a year and it's like there's one guy, and then there's like maybe some debate about a second guy, and there might be 5 other quarterbacks, and but nobody at all expects them to do anything. There's been good quarterback drafts, but it's like guys taken like 3rd, 4th, 5th round who end up panning out into. There was no hype. There's so much hype around these like top 5, top 6 guys, and if they all pan out, it could be one of the greatest quarterback classes ever, which the NFL needs.
There's a lot of hype, but there's also a lot of unknown. Some of these guys haven't even played in a while.
Lance,
yeah. So like Lance, Zach Wilson, I think could be pretty good. But again,
I went back to his high school tape, which was only 3 years ago, so it really gives us a good baseline.
It's like he I don't know. It's like a Josh Allen. He has all the hype, but can he get his head on and read something? Who knows? I still think Justin Fields is the guy, but.
If you were the New England Patriots, should you have, not that I don't think the Jets would have ever done a deal with you, would you have taken Sam Darnold to be your starting quarterback?
Yeah. I think in this system under this coach and this new kind of redefined personnel here, I think it could work. I'm still drafting a quarterback, but I would take Darnold to start on this team.
I really, my hope now, what I want to see happen is I want to see them start the year with Cam Newton as the starter, and I want one of these young guys to back him up. That's what I want. I feel like that gives you the most like clear direction. Because I feel like if you trade for Jimmy Garoppolo, while it might look like, ooh, we got our guy back, what if Jimmy G is what everybody says he is, and he's just broken down, and now you've traded broken down Cam for broken down Jimmy G, and then you didn't draft one of these young quarterbacks, and in a year you're just back to square one.
No, they have
I really don't want that. I at least can talk myself into having the hope of that guy. Even the Packers, right? There's like, if Aaron Rodgers went down, the Packers are screwed. But they have Love there. And you don't know what he is yet. But at least you can say there's somewhat of a plan there. He's sitting there, and if Rodgers retires or walks away or pitches a fit and wants out, at least they drafted a guy in the first round to stick there, learn from him, and maybe they throw him in and he sucks, but at least they kind of had a plan. I feel like trading for Jimmy G is a win right now decision, not a we're building the team decision. And I don't like that. Just build the team now.
Quarterback though, they will draft a quarterback no matter what. I mean, they
have to.
They literally have to. Even if it's Jimmy G, there's a lot of risk there in terms of injury. So you have to draft a quarterback. Now, if it's not somebody in the first round, and you're not trading up for like a guy like Fields or Lance or someone like that, then I hope it's a guy like Mond or someone like that in a later round.
4-year guys.
Still be good. Not just like a 4th, 5th, 6th round pick for Jarrett Stidham again. Like, I don't want to go through that again. So it'd be nice to get one of those guys that actually has, good projection. But I think the Patriots are in a position where they are 100% have to draft a quarterback. Does not matter who their starting quarterback is this year unless they go trade for, nobody at this point. I don't think anybody else is really on the market that's going to be day one starter, come in and take over the team for the next 5 years. So,
do you imagine if they don't trade for Jimmy G, don't draft a quarterback at all?
They can't. They won't do that. There's no way.
There's a chance. There's always a chance. We thought they would draft a quarterback last year, and they didn't.
Unless Jarrett Stidham's workout videos in California is really impressing them, then there's no way they cannot draft a quarterback.
I almost feel like, Christian, we should do a live draft show, at least for the first round, because the first round will give us the clue. That's all we'll need to know. Because, all these quarterbacks...
we need, the first 12 picks, and we'll know.
It's true. But, Mond... This is the thing with the frenzy. A guy like Mond should realistically be... He's second-round pick material. Mm-hmm. But there's same with Mac Jones. Any other year, I feel like he's a second-round pick. But this year, this frenzy around quarterbacks... I think these guys they could all be gone in the first, like you said, 12 picks. So I think this is me spitballing this right now. I think maybe if we could swing a live draft show for the first round could be worth it to see both of us lose our collective minds when the Patriots just keep trading back.
See, that's the problem, right? I don't want to do a live draft show if the Patriots are going to trade out. It's going to be boring. What the hell is the point of that?
Boring. I think both of us having a conniption live on air might be quite entertaining to everybody else.
If they trade the 15th pick, and it depends on who goes in front of them, I guess.
But I know we'll at least have one person who's going to tune in. Colin says, "Do it." Live draft show. He wants to see the carnage.
Well, if I see a trade back into the second round or something, then I'm just going to log off. I
don't. We'll just be sitting there. It's like, okay, and the Patriots have traded from 15 back to 73. Where'd Christian go?
100%. That will, we could do it, but I will be signing off after 15 if it's not picked. So that's why I say first round loosely. That's half a round.
True. We'll see. There's just, like I said, 2 weeks from now. Mark your calendars. April 21st. Brad Kelly will be on the program to to discuss all. Actually, no,
I'm
not
interested
the 20th.
to see what he
25th.
thinks about what they're going to do. Right?
25th.
Because,
I can't do math.
Yeah.
What'd you say?
I'm interested to see what Brad is going to say because he nailed the Kyle Duggar pick last year, didn't he?
Yeah. And the trade. He gave us the exact trade. He was like, listen, I think the Patriots are going to trade with the Chargers. They'll get this 3rd round pick. They'll pick up a 2nd, blah, blah, blah. And then they'll probably go after a guy like a Kyle Duggar, some sort of like a safety.
Yeah.
We're like,
so I'm interested to see what he thinks they're going to do.
Yeah. So 2 weeks from now, draft show. So if be ready for that. If you've got your draft questions, not just for the Patriots, but for anybody, any player, he watches boatloads of film. The guy puts in a lot of time. So he knows what he's talking about. Let's transition to the NBA. Last night, the Nets lost to the Lakers, injury depleted. They're getting LeBron and AD back soon, but they didn't have them last night. The Lakers still win. The Nets had KD and Kyrie until Kyrie and Dennis Schroeder got into some
what a weird beef that Kyrie
weird beef, yeah, and both guys get teed up, and then they just keep going at it, so they get another technical, and they're tossed, and then Kyrie's like going after the ref, and
like Kyrie's not normally like that. Now, I mean, listen, he does not stop talking very often, but when he's on the actual court, he does. He's a pretty quiet guy, I'd say overall. He's not a guy that goes up and down and complains every time down the floor, right? He's like any other superstar. He's going to do it, but it was a weird thing last night.
Yeah, I've never seen him be that like fiery, like angry
about nothing. Like I don't even know. Like Schroeder was complaining to the ref that he was getting hacked, and he got fouled, and then Kyrie just started talking and yelling at Schroeder. So it was a weird situation.
That was an odd situation. But more kind of like on the Nets thing, we've talked about this team and what is their makeup like. Harden now, again, we're just never going to know. This is what I've said about this team is I don't know what they are because they're not together. They finally have a chance to have all 3 guys back, and what happens? James Harden strains his hamstring, out at least 10 days. They've called it indefinitely because hamstrings are one of those things. Hamstrings, groin, anything in that muscle area, those groups, you think you're fine, and then once you try to go full speed, you realize, nope, I'm not. And you suffer a setback. So who knows how long Harden's going to be out now. So you just won't know. They won't be on the court together. And you see this thing Durant talking about, and this comes on the heels of Russell Westbrook and Stephen A. Smith having like a meltdown at each other over like not needing to win a championship.
Yeah,
and how like I'm a champion in life, and which we've seen that argument that's come up before. Yeah, that sort of thing. And it's like one of these catch-22s because it's like and Durant said that, he won his championship and he realizes now that it's not as important. He just wants to be the best he can be and let the chips fall where they may, which is not the same as saying that, like, I don't care about winning. Like, I don't need to win. Like, he says he wants to win, but it just speaks to more of this odd. Like, winning used to be the most important thing. Like, you think about you hear these guys talk from the 70s and the 80s and then in the 90s. We all watched The Last Dance. You think Michael Jordan cared about being MVP, this, that, and the other thing? Like, sure, yes, he wanted to prove that he was the best, but it didn't matter if he didn't win, right? So winning was the most important thing. Now, these guys, it's, well, I have my stats, and I got my MVP trophy, and I got my 1 ring that I bandwagoned to, so at least nobody could say I'm not a champion. And now it's really just about like, let me win some scoring titles and make some money. Which I'd say if I'm a fan, if I was a Russell Westbrook fan, if I was a fan of the Wizards, which God bless you, if you're a Nets fan and you want to see them win a championship, you pay tickets. The team pays the players to win championships. Most of them. We know from speaking with Matt Murphy, there's some teams that aren't in the business of winning. They're just out to make money, as a lot of sports franchises are. They just want to be good enough to turn a profit. But the teams that are trying to win, if you're a fan of those teams and you're paying guys like Durant $40 million and they say, well, I'm just trying to be the best version of me and I don't really care if we win a championship. That's not the priority. I'd be pissed. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Then guess what? Accept $10 million less dollars. How about that? So that people who want to come and cheer you don't have to pay $300 to sit in loge seats. Like, I just feel like at some point there's going to be like it's going to change. Because I don't think people ain't going to show up. People ain't going to watch if the players they want to cheer for are saying, well, I don't care if I win. Hey, I scored 50 points. We lost. I don't care. I did my job. Like,
yeah.
It's just frustrating to see because the fans give so much into it, right? And so you want your team to win. And if the players are saying like, well, I'm just going to try and play good and I don't care if we win or lose. That's not what's important.
Yeah.
It's sports. It's at the professional level, winning and losing that's like the most important thing. That's how you're judged.
Carmelo said like, didn't he say like something about he won a gold medals and that's more important than like a championship in the NBA or something, which I don't necessarily disagree with, right? But I think
I see that's different.
Why can't you? No, I don't think so. Why can't you just do both? Why don't you want to be the best in your prospective region, win a title, and also go out and win a gold medal for your country? I think
no, but do you think? I think that was more of like people were knocking Carmelo for never having won a NBA championship, and I think. Do you ever think Carmelo like never tried or cared about winning a championship? Like I feel like he was on teams that I never looked at it, and I never heard him say like, "Well, winning an NBA championship isn't important to me." I think he just said that to answer the people who criticize him for never getting a ring. He's like, I feel like I won a championship. Like I got a gold medal. Like I competed for my country. I represented my country on the world stage, and we won. They're close. It's very similar.
I mean, a lot of people consider him a notorious loser because he hasn't won a thing in the NBA. Now, I think the gold medal is great.
But at least he never bandwagoned himself. He never pulled a Durant and said, well, I'm going to go join. He didn't like opt out of the Knicks to go join the Miami Heat and win a ring.
He tried to join LeBron in LA. He tried a couple different things and nothing panned out because
it didn't happen.
Good anymore.
Yeah, it didn't happen though. Okay, and that's him at the end too. I'm not going to. It's not prime Melo leaving to go join those guys. It's old school ball Melo.
Well, he went to the Knicks, and nobody wants to go to the Knicks, so that's his fault.
True. But I don't know. It's like, I understand where these guys are coming from, and it's great that they don't, as well as fans shouldn't, like, actually really live and die. Like when you're a kid, yes. Like, if your team loses, it's, like, the worst thing in the world. Obviously, there's more important things. At the end of the day, it's still a game. But it's good to have that perspective. When you're getting paid 40, 50, in things like baseball, hundreds of millions of dollars. And the idea is to win. I'm paying you to come here so we can win. And then you turn around and tell the team, the fans, everybody else that that's not what you're about. I would be ripped.
A lot of these guys want to be like, they want to have the shoe line. They want to, enhance their own brand and stuff. And obviously that's fine too. Like, I don't knock that. Like, a lot of people want to knock Tatum because he's, his team sucks and he's on the bag of chips or whatever. Like, let the guy live. He's going to obviously get brand deals. He's one of, the top whatever players in the league. But at the same time, you just don't hear, maybe LeBron's really the only one that's like, and Anthony Davis, I guess, too, a little bit since he joined that Lakers team. But those guys, I feel like, want to win the title, and it's just like we hear Kyrie from time to time. Obviously he won before, but it's like, this is a game to me, and what I do off the floor is more important, which I don't disagree with, right? Like, what Russell Westbrook said is completely understandable.
Yeah.
But then you can just go get the ring as well and be the best in your sport or be the best at your profession, strive to be like great.
At what point does it become, see, this is the thing though, it's like we watch for the competition. We don't watch to see like guys just play a pickup game and whoever wins wins. Like, at what point do you, as like an organization, if you're evaluating a player, right? Hey, we want to bring in the talent, Russell Westbrook. Are we going to, that on the market would cost us $30 million a year, $40 million a year. Are you willing to pay that for a guy that has said that he doesn't want to win? or he doesn't care about winning a championship. Like if the Boston Celtics had a chance, so say we found everybody's lording over Bradley Beal. What if Bradley Beal came out and said, like, listen, I just want to be the best. If he said all the same things that these other guys have said, and we're not saying that they're wrong for saying them. I'm just wondering, at what point does that start to affect what those guys get on the market? Because teams want to win. Most teams do. Most teams want to win. And it's just, will it come to a point where this sort of thing affects the league's bottom line? If everybody, that's what I'm saying. After LeBron's, like you said, LeBron, Anthony Davis, I think there's certainly guys who are motivated, but these upper echelon stars, how driven are they to win championships, to compete? Not just, oh, I play basketball and make, it's a job. Does that hurt the NBA? Not having the competitiveness and the rivalry. If you just have every couple of years guys bandwagon onto a team so that they have the easiest path to win a championship, it devalues the whole thing. I'm just wondering how far will this mentality go? And will it ruin not just the NBA but all sports? The spirit of it is in the competition. And if the competition goes away and it's just these guys people won't watch. And there's no way these guys are going to get paid $40 million a year if people don't watch.
Yeah, I mean, that's for sure.
So, it's just bizarre. I don't know. It's just bizarre to me. And like I said, there's nothing wrong with there's nothing factually incorrect or there's nothing disrespectful, and there's nothing, it's the way they feel isn't even, like, angering. It's just that you should want to win. It just, I don't know. It's just how I'm wired, I guess. Especially when the team's paying you, your job is to win games.
I just think you can have both, right? You can have exactly what Russell Westbrook said, right? There's no crime in that. There's no problem with that. But you can also you could want to be great and want to win a title, because it's just the way anybody else lives, right? You work a job and you want to move up. You want to get somewhere. You have a goal. I just feel like, you can do a lot of those other things, especially these athletes, right? They're in a position where they make a lot of money. They do great work in their community, and they make a difference. But you can also want to go out and win a title. I feel like that a lot of the guys in like previous, like Pierce and Garnett and that generation, Kobe, they wanted to win. Like Kobe didn't care about anything but winning. And obviously he did stuff in LA, with the team and the community and everything like that. But when he was on the floor, he wanted to win night in, night out and win a title.
Well, as I say, not even win a title, but just like winning on any given night.
Yeah. Those guys that's how it was, previous. Like Kobe was a guy that went out night after night, played through injury, wanted to win every night, didn't care who it was against, wanted to win titles. And now it's just not, maybe it's just not the same way anymore. I'm not sure.
Yeah. And will that be good for the league? I don't know. And this kind of brings us into this mentality. Part of the problems I think people have said about, and I know you, Christian, believe this with this Boston Celtics team, is that you have guys like Tatum and Brown who are young, budding superstars, and are they more concerned, and I think people feel more so Tatum than Brown, with the brand and the status. I'm averaging 30 points. I'm an all-star. Which it's hard when you forget how young these guys are to not like be wrapped up in that and like what it would mean and the awe of it and like we're arriving. But how important is it to you to win, right? Do you want to be Tom Brady or do you want to be Aaron Rodgers? Hey, I got my title and now I'm just happy I'm stat padding the rest of my career. I'm on Jeopardy. Getting trolled. Jason Tatum dropped 53 points the other night. New career high. Awesome game. It took that to beat the Timberwolves. Now, do you level that on Tatum? Like, how do you grade? And this is asking the open-ended question here. Is it impressive or is it disappointing that that's what it took to beat the Timberwolves from Jason Tatum?
It's 100% both. I mean, they were down 14, but they gave up 40 points to the worst team in the NBA in the first quarter. It was 39 to 25. They were down 14 to the worst team in the NBA. That to me is, and Tatum is notorious for slow starts, which is not a great thing because he's your best player. But I will say, yeah, it's definitely impressive because without him the other day, they're not winning that game. Because a lot, and I think a lot of guys, at least in the starting unit, were pretty good, minus Kemba for like 3.5 quarters. They were pretty good, but without Tatum the other day, they lose to the worst team in the NBA. So yeah, it's impressive. I mean, 53 points is a lot of points. Like no matter which way you slice it. But it should not take one guy doing that. Now, granted, he did get. I mean, he was hot in the third quarter. There was no question about that. And he shot the ball efficiently too. That was the best thing. He was 16 to 25, 16 to 25, 6 to 10 from three. Went to the free throw line 16 times. That's what I want to see. He also started that game inside out. So if you actually watch the game, right, and don't look at the score sheet and just see 53, but if you actually do the eye test and watch the game, he went inside out. So he started in, going to the basket, got to the line, warmed up a little bit instead of settling for that step back three. And then guess what? You shoot 60% from three once you start seeing the ball go in. So I think the way he did it was more impressive than anything.
True.
It's unfortunate that it was against the worst team in the NBA, who you shouldn't need that overtime to beat them if you want to be like a top team. Yeah. But I do think it's good for Tatum, and it is definitely impressive. It's just a matter like I don't want to go too far with the Celtics team, right? A lot of guys in the NBA, just being realistic, take a while to get to their peak. That's just the facts. Curry, Thompson, a lot of these guys, they take a while to get there. It's like, I don't know, 25, 26 maybe. And Brown is kind of getting there, 27. It takes a while for these guys to get there. So, a couple of years here where they want to get all-star games and get their points. That's all good and well. But I think they do have to kind of bear down and get on that nightly grind where you got to win games on a nightly basis. You can't go, losing to the Detroit Pistons and the Timberwolves taking an OT and then expect to be, a top 3 team. Like those teams just don't do that.
Yeah. So they've won 2 in a row. I'd say one of the most impressive things too about Tatum's performance, I agree with what you said, inside out, 16 free throw attempts. Awesome. 10 rebounds.
Yep.
So he was doing the work on the defensive end as well. 4 assists. I mean, you shoot the ball, efficient, 25 times. You get to the line 16 times. You score 53 points, and you still, wasn't like you were ball hogging it. That's really good. I mean, that's a double, and had a block in there as well. So yeah, I'm really impressed with Tatum's game, how that game unfolded for him. Disappointed that for the team overall, because they started poor. They made their comeback. You're up 11 with 3 minutes to go. And you go to overtime. I know D'Angelo Russell banked in a 3, but it's like, still, oh man, you blow an 11-point lead with 3 minutes to go.
D'Angelo Russell is a guy that bothers me. I
Why?
feel like his talent is good. There was a point in this game, I think the T-Wolves were down a few points at one point. Now he banked in that 3 at the end, so it didn't really matter, but he came down. The Celtics just, hit a shot, got a lead. He comes down with about 40 seconds or something on left, and he's trying to shoot from the logo, and he just absolutely bricks a 3.
Oh, that's all these guys now.
Yeah,
it's all of them.
I don't know. It's just it was a weird sequence, and I feel like he's a guy that, like, if he hits one, he might hit 12, but if he misses like 5 in a row, it's just like he just keeps shooting. It's like the Marcus Smart thing.
Yeah.
One thing I did want to hit on, though, real quick about the Celtics is this COVID protocol. This team has lost. So just like player lost days is what they categorize it as. And this was April 6th, as of April 6th. So Evan Fournier has missed time here now. So this,
and he's going to miss the road trip, too.
Yeah. So the next closest team is 111 player days in protocol. So player days lost to COVID protocol is the Mavericks at 111. The Celtics are at 131, and now, 5 days later, probably 136 or something like that. That's a lot of time missed for these guys. Fournier just got here. He bricked like 12 shots, came in 2 games later, and he's hitting everything, and then he's in COVID protocol. So now we're back at square one. Thompson was in there for like 60 days, it felt like. Yeah. So it's like these guys are getting this. The whole team is just getting hemmed by this COVID protocol. Now, the restrictions are supposed to be strict. I don't know what exactly is happening. I mean, there's ways to get it that you don't even try, or you don't mean to, rather. But man, 131 days is a lot, and it's a lot more than any other team.
Yeah. I don't know. Fournier I actually was really surprised that like him and like Wagner and the Cornet like played right away after the trade, because I was thinking like with COVID, I mean, there's always like those guys are never available the first day. They gotta come, they gotta pass physicals, but I figured like COVID, like won't these guys have to like quarantine? Like these guys were on another team. They were around a whole separate circle of people, and you're just gonna like insert them directly into a team. It seemed kind of weird, and now Fournier like right away is like in and out and in and out. And
well, he was also on a negative. He had a negative,
like a false positive.
And then 3 days later he's back in. So yeah, but
I don't know.
I mean, look, it's 3 full weeks, just about 3 or 4 full weeks more time missed for the Celtics than any other team in the NBA.
Yeah,
that's not ideal.
No, with a team that is like trying to find its identity.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So Christian, I'm asking you this, and I already know what your answer is going to be, but I'm going to ask anyway. Is this a valid excuse for the Celtics' struggles?
No. 100% no. They should still be better than a lot of other teams. Now, I think COVID does have some type of effect. So Tatum obviously clearly affected him in like maybe the first week or two that he got back. He was a little winded. Same with Langford. He said it, was bugging him a little bit in terms of just getting cardio back. But it's not an excuse. No, I think this team still should be better than a lot of these teams in the East. I don't know. Just based on talent.
Pete from Gansett, this is us kind of going back to that discussion about wanting to win and all sorts of stuff for these stars. Yeah. That's what fans in the arena are for. Nobody likes to get booed no matter how much money they make. I'll agree. I mean, I'd say that's probably had such an effect this year on performance. Some guys flourished without fans. I'm sure others maybe it feels, when you're just like in this like bubble, it does just feel like pickup and hey, win or lose, like whatever, like there's no consequence. It's just the game. You have 16,000 people all boo you. If the Wizards arena was filled night in and night out and they were losing game after game after game, and Westbrook, like misses a 3 at the buzzer after like, if he has like, hey, he scored 30, but like he bricked 7 shots in the fourth quarter and he gets booed off the floor. Yeah, maybe he'd feel differently right now. Not that he should. I'm just saying I think that's a good point, that without fans, that probably adds to the emotional impact of winning and losing.
Oh, I think 100% it does, yeah. I mean, especially, I don't even know, a lot of times the Celtics were going on the road and there were fans there, and then you come back home and it's just empty. It's just like, yeah.
I'll say what, though. The like 2,000 people that they have in there at the Garden, they're making some noise.
6,000. Yeah, they sound like 6,000 or 8,000.
Making some noise.
Both teams, too. Bruins and Celtics, both. They all sound like, I mean, it definitely doesn't sound like 2,000. I know NBC is not, maybe Nesson is, but I know NBC is not pumping in a fake crowd noise.
They're juicing it. You bring up the Bruins. Let's transition to the NHL. Can we just send Tuukka Rask home? Is there a way to do that, or should Tuukka Rask be on the trading block, no matter what? Now, and should this team start to dismantle? Are they worth investing in, or should they say, Tuukka, if some team wants you, take him. David Krejci, see ya, and we're happy with whatever we have left, and just this young goaltender. And seeing how the rest of the season plays out. I think I am. I wanted to get rid of those guys like 2 years ago. So if you could get anything for them now at this point, I think you got to do it.
Yeah, I would agree. Especially a guy, I would listen on Krejci. If there's no deal to be made there, then he's fine. And maybe you make a run and he has a playoff Krejci type year. The goaltender, I think everybody should be out on at this point. Like Don't get me wrong, he might be the best goalie in Bruins history, you know that? But he doesn't have a ring that he started for. Like he was there in Tim Thomas's year.
Yeah, it doesn't count.
But it's the same old story with
I don't think he even made a start in the playoffs that year, right?
No, I don't think so.
It's not like one of these situations where, hey, I was the backup, but hey, I spelled this guy game here. Hey, he played in game 7 when so-and-so. I don't think he saw a single minute in that playoff
No,
run.
I don't think so either. No, it was all Tim Thomas. So, yeah, I'm out on Tuukka. Here's the thing though, nobody's going to take him at this point. He's number one, he's injured. Number two, he's not under contract in a future year. I don't see any team that's in the upper echelon of the league taking a flyer. Like the Sabres are not going to just say, yeah, give us Tuukka Rask for like whatever salary he's making just to trade him next year or whatever, or lose him in free agency. So he's up after the year. They're just not going to do that. Now, I will say this. I think Tuukka's done after this year, I would imagine, especially if these two guys continue to play.
Retire done, or like obviously they won't offer him a contract done?
That would be up to him, because I think, does he want to play anywhere else? I'm not so sure. I think he's ready to hit the golf course and kind of be Tuukka Rask off the ice, I would say. So I don't see him going anywhere else, at least at this stage. But if I'm the Bruins, I'm not paying this guy top tier money if you have Vladar and Swayman both playing at a solid level. And look, you need the next guy anyway. It's time to kind of turn the page here. They're in like a weird middle ground here where they have a bunch of guys that could potentially be on winning teams. If they were out of the playoffs right now, I'm not so sure Krejci would be here after the deadline. But because they're kind of like still in that mix, they should be buyers, I would say. I just don't know what's out there. And I'm not giving up a first-round pick when you have all these older guys. You got to use these picks and get some young talent in here.
Yeah. I agree. I feel like they're just in such a weird spot. You know, they don't really have, I don't know what they have in the cupboard down in Providence. That's where you say like, hey, you know, we'll play it out with these old guys and that they'll retire next year, the year after, and hey, but we got these guys waiting in the wings. I don't feel like they don't have any top flight thing. I mean, there's all these guys. It's like there's some 17-year-old who they have the rights to. I mean, it's like, but those guys are so far off from being any significant part of what you're building or have built to this point.
Well, the biggest
but you're at a point.
I mean, the biggest story is a goaltender. So you need a next
which is
guy
huge, because that's the piece where you said like, how do you replace that? That was our whole offseason, was like, you got to find an answer there, and they stumbled into it.
Yeah, it's obviously not Halak, but Swayman is he's 22 and he's projected to be something. So that's a good thing. I think he played in Maine, U.S. guy, but he projects to be something. And seeing him here early on, they lost yesterday, bad loss, but he's been pretty good. And especially against the Capitals team, they threw him in their back-to-back games, and he was pretty solid against the Caps, minus a couple 5-on-3s that shouldn't have been. He's been good, and that's really the guy. So if you're talking about Providence in terms of that, like they still have Studnicka and these guys that might be in Providence now, if not for, you know, and he's a natural centerman. So if Krejci was out, Coyle's really your second line center behind Bergeron, and then you go Studnicka and probably Corrales. So they have some guys there. It's just a matter of which route they want to take.
So are you buying or selling or staying pat at the deadline? Because they're in this weird spot in the standings. I feel like you either got to be sellers or stand pat. I don't want to be buyers, because you could buy and still not make the playoffs.
Yeah, I think the only way you buy is if a guy has term on his contract. So the guy that you trade for has to have, it's like a Nick Ritchie, similar situation. And Kasha, obviously Kasha is nowhere to be found. But
just start calling him Kashi.
Kashi, yeah. Because he's not in my presence, yeah. I would say I'm buying, but it's got to be a guy with term. So Nick Ritchie, 2 years left. Kasha, same thing, 2 years left. Something like that. It just depends. Like, I'm not giving up a first-round pick for like a Kyle Palmieri who already went to the Islanders. Like, I wouldn't do that deal just based on where the Bruins are at. But they got to find a way here to either turn the page or not turn the page. They're in the weird middle ground. Now, obviously, it's a COVID year. They could easily make the playoffs here, but they gotta. I think they do have to buy if they want to make the playoffs. They gotta get something. I don't know what that is at this stage, though.
So if they buy and they make the playoffs, is the only way they win a cup is if they don't have to play the Islanders?
Probably. Or the only other way they win is if, Swayman or Vladar is just playing like Tim Thomas did. Because Rask ain't going to cut it anymore, I don't think. We already know what that story looks like. So I think the only way this team has a chance is if they put in the 22-year-old and he just absolutely goes off and they win a number of games in the playoffs.
Yeah, I agree with that. Deadline's tomorrow, right?
Tomorrow at 3, yeah. Very quiet. I will say this: the Bruins could use a defenseman tomorrow. I'll say that because they are.
Who's one of the guys? Ekholm, I think, was one of the guys I had floated out a couple of weeks ago.
He's a guy you look at, but I don't know what you have to give up there, and also that team is kind of like in the mix now. Will they give him up? I don't know.
Yeah,
they're in a tough spot with their defense core now. McAvoy's out, Kevin Miller's out. Lausanne might be out. I think Grizzly got hurt again. So you're looking at Tenorti and Clifton and Zaboral, who has not been great the last couple of games. I mean, without McAvoy, the D-core is kind of hamstrung. And again, Kevin Miller, if he could stay healthy, man, the guy is just he comes in, he makes an impact right away. He's a good player. He can't stay on the ice.
This is from Joe Haggerty. This is just this morning. As the NHL trade deadline approaches, the Boston Bruins have been linked with veteran Detroit Red Wings defenseman John Merrill as they scour for help on the back end. Yeah, I feel like that's the type of... if they're going to make a move and buy, it's going to be one of these smaller moves. There's no way they're in on any of the big names because they just don't have... You'd have to give up something where it's not worth it. Like, they're not trading Pastrnak, not trading Marchand. They're not going to trade any of their younger guys that they like that are actually in the lineup to just go get a defenseman, because it's like, then what are you giving up versus what are you? I mean, you're
also
not
have
doing
the expansion
anything.
draft.
Yes.
So you're gonna have to give up something just in that alone. They already have a goalie not named Vladar or Swayman to give up, obviously, but that would be the one you're worried about. But in terms of, that's exactly the move that they're going to be looking for. It's going to be some non-top tier defenseman or forward. I don't really think they need a forward. They just need to score with their forwards, but their defense needs help.
Yeah. I mean, where do you think a guy like Hall goes?
Who the heck knows? Does anyone want to even take a flyer on him? It depends on the price, because he's just like, he kind of seems like a puddle. Like a lot of teams don't want to deal with him. He was like, what, number 1 or number 2? I think number 1 pick overall before Sagan. And he's been on a number of different teams now, because he's just not, I don't know. He's good on like a contender if he's not the main guy, but depends on the price and what they're asking, what the Sabres are going to ask for that.
Yeah, I mean, I guess this is who's this from? Logan Mullen. Says with speaking with a NHL team executive that they think Hall could get a 2nd or a 3rd round pick, plus send Buffalo a contract. Obviously, the Sabres want more than that, but I mean, Hall has a full no move clause, and like you said, if teams know you want to deal a guy and you don't want to deal with him anymore, then that kills your trade, the trade value. So they may want a 1st round pick. If they want to get rid of him right now, they may have to settle for less. Yeah. Even though Palmieri got a 1st round pick.
I mean, he's played on Edmonton, New Jersey, Arizona, and Buffalo now. For a number 1 pick, he's been in the league 11 years.
Blech.
Yeah, I would take him for a 3rd round pick though. 3rd or 4th round pick, sure. He's good. He'll help your team. It's just a matter of the price. Like I'm not giving a 1st round pick for a guy that's going to be on 8 different teams. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah. So, Major League Baseball. Christian, are you sold on the Boston Red Sox?
You know what? I'm coming around. Like, believe it or not, I think they actually...
Believe it or not, Christian's watching some baseball.
I think they are respectable. You know, watching the product the first 3 days, I thought maybe we're never going to have a season again. But they have won 5 straight, and they look like a real baseball team. I'll say that. Their pitching is pretty good. They string hits together. It's not like it's home run, strikeout all the time. And they're actually kind of, dare I say, compelling to watch.
Oh no,
I don't watch, every inning. But if I'm back and forth between something else, then I'm good to watch baseball. So I think they do have a chance in the division. They might make the playoffs. They're not a championship team, but unless they go like Mike Napoli, Johnny Gomes style and just win. But I think they should be respectable, and they should be in the conversation for playoffs. They should be in the conversation for the division, just based on the first 10 games here. Their schedule gets a little bit tougher, but overall I think the Red Sox will have a baseball season.
Fool's gold. That's how I'm looking at this. It is so early. So early. Like you said, the way they started the season, 11-3, that like third straight loss to Baltimore. They look the wins against Tampa. Those are respectable. Then you followed up with Baltimore again. I mean, they should win today. That game starts at 1:05. They should beat Baltimore again. Let's see these next 3 series: Minnesota, White Sox, Blue Jays. And even, the Mariners after that. 2 Sundays from now, when we have, after we're done milking every last bit and tidbit of NFL draft knowledge out of Brad Kelly, we can see where the Red Sox are 2 weeks from now. That'll give me a better idea. Because while it is early, teams that generally start bad finish bad in baseball. Even though the season's so long, and we saw this a couple of years ago with them, they come off the World Series, they started so poorly in April and May, and you just could never dig out of that hole. Because you start doing the math, well, we have to play like 700 ball the rest of the way, and that just never happens. So starting, it's not impossible, but starting well is kind of a necessity, even in such a long season. 8 games in. I don't think it's early enough to make any sort of determination. Let's see, like, some of these pitchers make like more than 1 or 2 starts and see how they do. Guys, like, oh my God, who was it who said, well, I still have 32 more starts to go after the Baltimore.
Yeah, that's Garrett Richards. I'm not a huge Garrett Richards guy, I'll be honest. He is what you categorize as a tool bag, of the highest degree. And yeah, the mustache, the head, like, he's just, oh my God. But outside of him, not bad.
Yeah, we'll see. I just think it's way too early.
They have some young arms that have looked pretty good. I think Houck has looked good. Now he's not going to start probably because, I don't know, they just give the ball to guys that suck for some reason instead of the young guys. I don't know why they're screwing around with him, but Pivetta and these guys are going to be respectable. It's just a matter of, how long are they? But Garrett Whitlock, if you haven't watched Garrett Whitlock, young guy, he was from the Yankees system, who I guess he had Tommy John. He's still a young guy. He's 24, 25. He had Tommy John, so he missed some time, but he has some stuff if you watch him pitch. I'd rather watch a good pitcher than a bunch of home runs. That's just how I am.
Oh,
so if
absolutely.
You have a good pitching duel, I'm into it. And Whitlock, he's projected as a starter. He's not a starter yet because, coming off Tommy John, he's still young. But if you just go watch some highlights of the kid, even in the first 5 innings that he's pitched this year, really good stuff. Like, he is another guy that you should have in your rotation, probably starting next year. Same with Houck. Houck is going to be up and down probably. He is going to be mainly with probably the Woo Sox. I don't know why. And then he's going to come up, stupid name by the way, but he's going to come up to the Red Sox here and there probably, depending on. Look, Richards is your worst pitcher, and he's your highest paid almost, I want to say. He made $9 million this year. Come in and suck. But I would like to see Houck instead of Richards, but they're not going to do that. So Cora already had said he's going to be between the two teams, Red Sox, Woo Sox, and we'll see what we got. But Houck and Whitlock should be your two guys in terms of front-end starters going forward if they don't screw around and mess them up.
Yeah. Also, I mean, I think about things like this too. I just feel like the season's going to be. I'm not going to get excited about anything as far as like their potential unless, like you said, like there was like a moment in like late July in that 2013 season where they were down 7 runs in the 9th inning to like the Mariners, who were like just absolutely awful. And they scored like 10 runs with 2 outs and 1 on like a walk-off from like, I think it was Johnny Gomes. And it was like, man, this team has just got something. Like there's just no reason why they should be winning. There's no reason why this team should be where they are. But like, man, they got something. I won't come off the Red Sox only winning like 80 games this year until we get to that point. So until then, I'm going to look at all these guys playing well. Like Nathan Eovaldi has a good outing. I'm like, good, pitch well, so we can trade you at the deadline.
No, not if you're winning. Eovaldi's got a good arm, if he can stay healthy, which is a big question mark. But I mean, I just think, I don't know. I'm kind of like, I want them to be good because I want to talk about baseball a little bit more. If they can move into a better spot, it would be nice because I do like the game of baseball. It's just really hard to get into for 162 games, 6 months out of the year. It's just really hard to, bypass NHL, NBA, NFL. It's just really hard to get past that to the MLB. But I want them to be good, to be somewhat of a story here because it's been a while since they've been good for a stretch of time.
Yeah. Is Chris Sale ever going to pitch again? And if he does, is that another guy where it's like, God, please come back this year, look good, and like, would anybody ever take him off our hands? Or are they just going to have to eat all that money?
I don't think so. But I think Sale is still good. He'll still have good stuff. He won't have some of the power that he had before, but he's still coming off surgery. So I think you're looking at late this year, if not next, for Sale, because he had like a weird timing on that Tommy John, I think. Plus COVID.
Yeah, they delayed it.
Yeah.
I mean, COVID screwed it up. They were like hoping to not have him miss time if he could get through it. And then they waited too long, and yeah.
So now he's going to miss like a year and 3/4 instead of just like a year and maybe a little bit. But I would say he's projected maybe like late this year. So you're looking probably August, September, October, if anything. And then if not, you might just wait till next year at that point, depending on where you are. If he can come back and help you, absolutely. Because I still think he'll have good stuff. It's a matter of can he stay on the field.
Yeah, we'll see.
I
have one last
for like 9 minutes. Wow.
Well, I mean, we didn't talk about baseball for like 4 months.
Yeah, true.
And we gave it a minute. Opening day, we were like, "Oh yeah, baseball starts. By the way, baseball starts tomorrow. All right, see ya."
Hey, good win last night though. I don't know if you saw that. They're down in the 9th inning by 1. They tied it up, came back and won. So that's something, right? I mean, you want the fight.
Yes. Yeah, I guess it is. After the way they started, the way it started, it was like, bad. Oh boy, this team's going to lose 120 games.
Yeah, they should win 90 games. I think they could get to 90.
I don't think so. I'm not budging off that yet. I'm not convinced. I'm sticking with the number 83. 83.
Who are you, Vegas? Jesus. Calm down. I think they could get 88 to 90 wins. They should be in that ballpark.
All right, write this down. April 11th, 2021. Pez says 83. Christian says what? 93? 90, 91?
88 to 90. You weren't listening at all, were you?
88 to 91. I heard that the 3 in my head got transposed into yours.
1, 2, and 3.
1, 2, and 3. Numbers are hard, man. Numbers are so hard. Last, I just want to bring up one. As we wrap this up here, to circle quickly back to the Boston Bruins thing. Trade deadline tomorrow at 3. This is what Sweeney's done as a deadline. 2016, Lyles and Stepniak. 2017, Stafford. 2018, Holden, Nash, Wingles. 2019, Coyle and Johansson. 2020, Kasha and Ritchie. To acquire those 10 players, Sweeney traded 22 picks.
Late round.
These 22. So 2 firsts, 2 seconds, 2 thirds, 4 fourths, 2 fifths, a 7th, and then a whole bunch of guys. I mean, Kamara, O'Gara, Bolesky, Spooner, Lindgren, Donato, Backus, Anderson, Danton Heinen. I'd say that is good.
The last
trading.
2 years, has been good. Last 3 years, I would say.
Because you always have to give up a little something. They have not gotten fleeced. You never want to get fleeced. It's okay if you fleece somebody else, but when you want to go get something, you kind of have to give up a little something.
I mean, he nailed Coyle. He nailed Johansson.
Oh, 2019 was his best one
Ritchie,
so far.
Ritchie as well. Like, just to get rid of Backus, don't forget, you had to give up a first-round pick just to get rid of that contract.
Yeah. I just feel like it's going to be so hard to decide. I'm glad I ain't making these decisions, because with the COVID year and where they are in the standings and how old some of their roster is, deciding whether or not to buy or sell. You buy, you got to win the cup. If you buy, you got to don't buy and overpay for a guy like Merrill. Third line defenseman.
You'll give up like
I'm just saying, if you do, hey, if they go out and go for Taylor Hall, you know what? I'll be excited. So you know what? It may not work, but you're taking a big swing. Because they realize this roster is win cup now. Next year is like serious rebuilding time.
Yeah. If you have to give up a third and like a lower roster player, I'd 100% do that for Hall. They do need help on the back end, but look, overall, I think this season now rides on, not to put too much pressure on the young kid, but it rides on the Sway Man.
The Sway Man.
Yeah. No Sway Man, no cup.
So that'll do it for the show. Thank you for finding us here on a rainy, cloudy, foggy Sunday morning. We are live every Sunday starting at 11 a.m. on Facebook, YouTube, Periscope, and Twitch. You can just like, follow, and subscribe. Search for the 360 Sports Show on any of those platforms to join the live show. And you can also take us on the go with the 360 Sports Show podcast through Sounder FM or wherever you get your podcasts from. Always have fun joining and jumping in with the comment section. You can always email us, the360sportshow@gmail.com. The Masters underway. The big names tee off around 2:40, so we'll be back next week to break down all of that and how that goes. Red Sox start in about 30 minutes. We'll see if they can complete the sweep here.
The 90-win Red Sox.
So, yeah, we'll see about that. So, anyways, I'm Andy Pizzelli. He is Christian Lauber. Have a great week, everyone, and stay safe.
See you later.